There's a new update inside of Adobe Firefly, and that is the AI assistant inside of Adobe Firefly. This is in beta mode right now, but I'm going to walk you through how you can change this logo that I created in a previous video, and how I'm going to create and do a load of stylized photos. And also we're going to even then be able to resize those photos for different social media platforms, and also create some voiceovers, all using the new beta Adobe Firefly AI assistant. Let's dive in and take a look. Now, if you've got access to this, you're going to be able to just come to the Adobe Firefly homepage, and you'll see it down the left hand side here. You'll see AI assistant, and it is in beta mode. We're just going to click on that, and then that's going to open up and give us a few different options. Now we can see here, just by using text prompts, we're going to be able to kind of like batch edit photos, build mood boards, convert vector image, create mock-ups, create variations for our social media, prepare product photos, remove or replace objects, and also retouch portraits. Now, the first thing I did was to take the logo that I created in a previous video and see if I can easily create that into a vector image. I just came over, chose the convert to vector option, uploaded my logo, removed the background, and then that's converted it to a vector image that I can then just simply go to download and download that as a vector image and use that if I wanted to in the future. Now next, I wanted to take that logo and create some mock-ups and also some lifestyle photos. And also I figured out that we can actually do some voices inside of this. Let's dive in and take a look and show you how I did this step by step. So for this one, I chose to create mock-ups. I've uploaded my logo that we've created there before. You can see this is a one that I created in Firefly. And I just said, like, I want to start creating an artisan coffee shop around this logo and creating the vibe of what I want it to look like and feel like. It started creating a mock-up, and then it kind of like created some further mock-ups following some further direction. We've got a tote bag, an apron, a coffee mug. This takeaway mug still was kind of like going over the edge here. So I said to it, like, hang on a minute, this isn't kind of quite right. It's something that's kind of like not quite the way I want it to look like. So I told it, I just chose to add in there the text and said it was going over the sleeve. It came back with a really good mock-up that I can then download and use this as a style photo of, you know, when I'm starting to create a mood board or something else like that. I then wanted to create mock-ups of lifestyle images. So I said, well, how about if we put this on a cap, and I want a barista serving a coffee. And that's exactly what it's done in here. You can see here we've got the Adobean kind of like logo that I've created, and that's, you know, we've got this coffee vibe, and it's still got this kind of like 1970s retro vibe in here. And I thought, well, that's really good. You know, we've created one. Can we create more? Well, before I did that, I said, like, I want to have a loyalty card. So it's mocked up a loyalty card. And these are all things that I thought, like, well, it's not the right shape. I want it to be the normal shape, and I want some more images. I want more lifestyle images so I can get a real vibe and feel for what this coffee shop looks like. And I said, like, well, I don't want it landscape, I want it portrait. So it's created a portrait version of this, and then it's created more mock-ups of the baristas and the vibe that you might feel or get inside of this cafe. And you can see here we've got a 5 kind of like image limit for each one that we want to create, but it knew. So even though I said I wanted to recreate the loyalty card and then more lifestyle shots, it knew that there was a limit, but it went away, created them, and then created the next 2 for me automatically. There's no prompt in between this. It's automatically created those 5 for me, and then a further 2. So I've got a full 7 images there of what I want this kind of like fictional coffee shop to look and feel like. We can then kind of like come to it, and it said, like, oh, I can open this and add all these to a Firefly board for you. And that's exactly what it's done, is added them to a Firefly board. Now I've added some more on here, and I'm going to go and show you through those as we go down here. So There was some, this one was on the side of the cap, so I said, well, I don't want it on the side of the cap, I want a barista, and I want to show it like, not like a retro machine, I want it to be a modern machine, and that's exactly what it's done. It's gone away, it's put the Adobean logo as a patch on the front of the cap, and then given me this modern look. And you can still see here from the colours on the walls and the vibe, it still looks and feels like the same coffee shop. Now, I went away and said, like, well, how about we can add this to an existing Firefly board? And right now, you can't add it to an existing Firefly board, but you can create a new Firefly board. So I created some more images. I wanted to show more images of kind of like with mugs and things like that. And then I said, like, well, hang on a minute. This one looks a little bit oversized, this mug. So what you can do is you can just click on them. See where you've got the little checkbox in the top here. You can click on it and say, I want to say something about that photo and give some feedback. I can do. I can come down here, give it my prompts and say I want something different. And that's exactly what I did. I said, this mug, I want it to be more like the in image 1. I want it to be more like the mug in image 2. And it came and created a different image for me using that different mug reference. So you can see here, it's actually got a different, more kind of like realistic sized mug. And then we went down and I said, well, how about if we had kind of like a little merch area in the shop? You know, this is, if you were working with a client, this is something that they might want to do. You're kind of like building up a vibe of what they might want to do in the shop before you actually use, you know, other ways of using creative teams to actually build this out. But we've got here a couple of like merch option ideas, different stands, like a really like a retro dresser and things like that. And I said, well, hang on a minute. I said, this image, the caps are a little bit oversized and we wouldn't have the shirts stacked like this. And it said, oh, of course you wouldn't. So I'm going to go away and I'm going to go and create this. And this is all just using like natural text prompts. So we've now got a different kind of like vibe and different area inside of the coffee shop where we've got these different shirts hanging up. And then I said, oh, if you can add a customer browsing this, go for it. So we've now got a customer browsing this area and you can see it looks very similar to the area. We've got the coffee shop in the background and it's kind of like created that bokeh effect where things are kind of like slightly blurry in the background. And it's just amazing. You know, it said your final board with all 21 images is ready. So it can create that Firefly board for me. So I can go and create that Firefly board and continue creating from the Firefly board there and maybe start creating some videos and things like that. I said, well, how about if we wanted this shop, but I want it for different social media platforms? It came through, it showed me some questions as to what I wanted it to do. I chose Instagram and for Threads, you know, so you can see there the questions that it asked, and it gave me those two options. And it said, well, how about some other options? And it went away and it's used generative expand and cropping and things like that to go from that original image to then create the image for us on different sizes. And you can see here the different sizes that it's actually created for us. Now I thought, like, hang on a minute, what other skills have you got that maybe you're not showing me on the front screen? So I asked it exactly that. I said, what other skills do you have? I see social media assets is one, but not sure what that means. So it said, here's a rundown of how I can help. So it's creating and generating images, videos, speeches and voiceovers. It can retouch portraits. You can see them all here on the screen. And I'll put all these down in the description for you as well. And it can organize and manage things. This is what it's telling me that it can do. Now, I've not tried all of these out, but I did try out the voice. So I said, okay, so give me a voice. And I said, saying, and put it in inverted commas, saying, enjoy a fresh roasted coffee in a comfortable retro environment, Adobean. Okay, and this is exactly what it played back for me.
Enjoy a fresh roasted coffee in a comfortable retro environment, Adobean.
So you can see there, it's kind of like, you know, it's a really cool voice. And I said, well, maybe if I wanted a female voice.
Enjoy a fresh roasted coffee in a comfortable retro environment, Adobean.
And I kind of liked that, but I wanted something a little bit softer. So I said I want it softer and warmer. And I started giving it these prompts.
Enjoy a fresh roasted coffee in a comfortable retro environment. Adobean.
You see there is, as I'm giving it these different prompts, I say, oh, it still feels a little bit squeaky. Sounds good. Maybe want some like music in the background. It can't add music at the moment, but I could import some. And then I ended up going for, like, let's go for something a little bit nostalgic.
The kind of coffee shop you've been looking for. Adobean.
And you can see I can start saying, like, well, I want it actually, I prefer it now, thinking like, actually, I want it in a male voice.
The kind of coffee shop you've been looking for. Adobean.
And you can see you can actually start building out kind of like social media prompts and things like that, and creating social media assets for client ideas. And this isn't about replacing the creative process and replacing creative teams. This is about helping creative teams build those ideas with clients. Now, I really like this. I found it really good fun. If you want to try this out, I'll put all of the details down in the description for you as always. If you've got any questions, drop them down in the comments and I'll see you in a future video. Bye for now.